on. What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%.
His punches, where, you know, like the first few rounds, he throws very few punches.
He's just measuring. He's a computer, man.
Yep.
He's just getting the data on you, faking you, taking pictures of everything you're doing. Then
People will criticize you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Why? Come on.
Because, like, we're elite fighters.
Joe Rogan was shocked after Anthony Joshua shared what really happens behind the scenes of a Jake Paul fight contract. Many fans think it's just a fun boxing match, but it turns out to be carefully planned and controlled. Joshua explained the rules, limits, and hidden advantages written into the deals, and Rogan's reaction showed how serious it was. This wasn't just about boxing skills. It was about money, control, and shaping the story. After hearing this, it's easy to understand why many real fighters have chosen to stay away from fighting Jake Paul.
When you sit on that stage,
Yeah?
and you hear him saying everything he says, bearing in mind the journey you've been on, everything you've done, do you just think this guy's deluded?
Nah. Look, an amateur coming into the game with no experience, he's taken on some good names. They may be old, they may be from different combats in terms of MMA and so on, but he's got in the ring at a decent level, fought Tommy Fury and so on, so he believes in himself. I take it seriously, I respect it.
Yeah, but their levels, come on, AJ.
Yeah, there are, but it's all about on the night. The levels that I carried last year and the year before and the year after that will not win me this fight. What will win me this fight is performing on the night. And I have to respect my opponent. If I underestimate him, I give him a chance. And that's all one needs, is just a chance.
The fight, called Judgment Day, was set for 8 3-minute rounds in the heavyweight division. Joshua came in as the clear favorite because of his experience and bigger size. He stood 6 feet 6 inches and weighed about 243 pounds, while Paul weighed around 216 pounds. After a slow start, Joshua took control and knocked Paul down several times in the 5th round. He ended the fight with a powerful knockout in the 6th round at 131, landing a hard right hand that dropped Paul and made the referee stop the fight.
I'm heavyweight champ Anthony Joshua. Paul was sturdy for the first couple of rounds, but as the fight went on, the more experienced Joshua began to take control. After continuously connecting in the 5th round, it was only a matter of time before it was over. In the 6th, Joshua went on to knock out Paul with a big right hand. Joshua improved his career record to 29-4 now. Paul loses for the 2nd time in his career to go along with 12 victories.
Paul's game plan against Anthony Joshua focused on speed, movement, and staying away from Joshua's power. Before the fight, Paul said he would use quick footwork, circle the ring, and keep his distance to make Joshua chase him. His goal was to tire and frustrate the former champion and last all 8 rounds. Paul and his team wanted to avoid one big punch and rely on his stamina and smart angles. The plan was simple: keep moving, make Joshua miss, and don't trade punches with a bigger, more experienced fighter.
In a second. And you saw the game plan from both guys from round 1. Jake was very mobile. I mean, he had the happy feet going. He was circling around the outside of the ring. He was not looking to engage in elongated combinations. He was not looking to stand in the center of the ring with AJ. And people are going to say Jake ran from AJ, and you're right. Because guess why? He absolutely had to. Again, we talked about this in the build-up to the fight. He had to be mobile. He had to be on his bike. So yes, you're justified in saying Jake ran from him because he had to. He had to. And anybody that convinced themselves that Jake was going to walk to the center of the ring, stand in the phone booth with AJ, and trade punches until someone laid flat, you were lying to yourself, or you convinced yourself of something you saw in the promo. This was always going to be the way the fight went. I wasn't surprised at all that this is the way that Jake started and pretty much fought the entire time. I was a bit surprised that AJ didn't assert himself earlier. Now, again, it is very hard to hurt someone that doesn't want to engage in a continuous fight. Round 1, very much a feeling out process for AJ. Didn't really look like he did much, but Jake didn't either. There was one right hand that AJ landed in the 1st round that shook Jake up. That's the danger that was coming for Jake the entirety of the fight. The 2nd and 3rd rounds were pretty much the same, a bit of a mixed bag in terms of Jake tried to get on his jab more. He did land some jabs that snapped the head back of AJ and landed some right hands, but this was all calculated risk for AJ as well, because he knew as long as he turned that faucet on and let the water run and let it fill up the sink and never turned the faucet off, that eventually he would drown Jake, right? So every round it was pressure, front foot, front foot, front foot, and AJ strategically breaking down Jake's gas tank. I will say I'm pretty let down by the fact that AJ didn't cut the ring. I was shocked that he didn't go to the body more. I was shocked that he didn't set up his punches more, didn't get his head off the center line more. It was not a great performance from AJ, but at the same time, AJ had just come off a loss. AJ had just come off surgery. I'm not making excuses, but it wasn't a great AJ performance.
Legendary announcer Michael Buffer shared his view on how Jake and Logan Paul have affected modern boxing. He said the brothers brought new energy to the sport and attracted younger fans who might not have watched boxing before. They are good at creating stories, building hype, and getting people excited. Buffer admitted that some critics still doubt crossover fights, but he said the Paul brothers' impact is real. By bringing in new viewers and more attention, they have helped boxing reach a wider audience.
Well, Jake and Logan, first of all, are fantastic athletes. You know what Logan does with the WWE and what Jake does with boxing. He knocks people out and everything. And they both have massive fan bases. And for me, it's great to see people get young people that follow them that didn't have, like, you know, they don't remember Ali or Joe Frazier or whatever. It's not in their wheelhouse. So it's great to see them developing fight fans and a big fight atmosphere. So it's very exciting.
These two stood face to face, and the comment section on the internet was going crazy. They were like, call the ambulance now, basically. Like, Anthony Joshua looks dangerous standing next to him.
Anthony Joshua is, at this time, and has been for years, the biggest puncher in boxing. He's a devastating puncher. So I got to give Jake a lot of credit for wanting to take this fight.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people saying it's not smart. If he somehow was able to surprise the world, what does this do for his?
The word would be surprised if he shocked the world. But that's exactly why you got to give him credit. He wants to do it. He trains hard, he works hard, and he has a lot of faith in himself. So we'll see what happens.
Technically, though, what's the biggest concern for you? What's the biggest tip you can give Jake, knowing that you've watched Anthony so many times dominate?
Work on your defense.
After the fight, Anthony Joshua spoke honestly about how he did. He said that even though he won with a 6th-round knockout, it wasn't his best performance. Joshua admitted he had trouble landing clean punches early and couldn't trap Jake Paul as fast as people expected. He called it a win but not a big success and said he still has a lot to improve.
The pressure on. What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%. In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fighters that have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are immense, but I tried my best. Jake done well while it lasted, but if you remember what I said in the interview with Cameron is, fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you is that, Jake, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna see a time when I'm gonna take your soul and you're either gonna give up or you're gonna get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start.
Even after the knockout, Eddie Hearn gave Jake Paul some credit but kept it realistic. He said Paul showed toughness but the result was never in doubt. Hearn explained that no one truly expected Paul to last long against someone like Anthony Joshua, and reaching the 6th round was more about endurance than skill. He said the fight showed the clear difference between social media fighters and top professionals, as Joshua's power and experience fully controlled the match.
AJ's performance, I mean,
Good.
got it done.
First 2 or 3 rounds, a little bit frustrating because you've been out of the ring for a year and a half and you've got a guy that's just running around the ring and, you know, you can say you've got to cut him off, but when they're moving at that kind of speed and they're holding up close, but his clinching was quite good, Jake. Like, you know, listen, you know, I'm not saying he's going to go and win a world title, but he just fought Anthony Joshua and went 5 and a bit rounds. So, you know, respect to him, and it was good to get some rounds in, to be honest with you. He's got a new team. If it would have gone 45 seconds, maybe people would have been more impressed, but we wouldn't really have got any ring time. So we've got that, and now it's a case of when we're at next.
You described Jake as average a few years ago. What's your assessment of him now?
Decent. If you listen to what I said in the build-up, I said he used to be average, now I think he's decent. And the same. I think he's like a top 50 cruiserweight in the world. Top 50, top 60 cruiserweight in the world. So, yeah, and look, you know, like I said, I hope he's okay. 4-0 to Matchroom over MVP. But we're friends now, so respect to him.
And your message for Fury?
Fury, listen, we'll see you in September.
After the fight, Ryan Garcia shared a bold reaction on social media that got a lot of attention. He said he respected Jake Paul's effort but compared him to another top boxer, Gervonta Davis. Garcia tweeted that Davis would have done even worse to Paul and finished the fight faster than Joshua. Many experts agree and say this wasn't elite boxing. Even after the fight, critics still argue that the Joshua versus Paul match should never have happened.
I mean, look, fair play to Jake Paul. He has a lot of guts, and the fact that he wasn't carried out of this fight on a stretcher, you know, certainly I guess you can say is a positive. But what did I think about this? What did I think about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul? Look, it felt like Anthony Joshua carried him. It felt like Jake Paul brought in as much of a negative anti-style as possible, circling away, constantly holding Joshua, constantly falling to the ground. Again, while you're certainly going to give respect for the YouTube star turned fighter for having the guts to put on this type of show and to stand in there for as long as he did until a clean right hand in the corner when Paul was absolutely exhausted, dropped him and ended the fight. This is not elite boxing. And we knew that coming in, but if these fights are going to be sanctioned as official fights, like the Mike Tyson fight from last year, like this one, how much longer is the appetite for the fan going to be there?
Before the fight, Deontay Wilder stirred up questions about whether the matchup would be completely fair, suggesting that contracts could decide who wins. Wilder said the fight might be like past spectacle matches where money and entertainment sometimes matter more than real competition. He hinted that the fighter favored in the deal might end up winning, raising doubts about whether the result would come purely from skill and strategy. This view has sparked bigger debates in the boxing world, as fans wonder if Jake Paul's fast rise is more about promotional deals than real athletic talent. Many are now paying closer attention to how business behind the scenes might shape fights, and whether financial incentives could influence the sport more than the actual abilities of the fighters. Wilder's comments have added fuel to these discussions, making people question how much of boxing's top matchups are truly about competition and how much are influenced by contracts and money.
Joshua, and they asked Deontay Wilder, who does he think will win the fight? And he said, whatever's in the contract for the person to win, that's who will win. And let me counterpunch. What Wilder is saying is what a lot of people are fearing, right? You know, the Jake Paul FDA that, hey, he has to win each and every fight has been one of those things that has been lingering around in the boxing world, as we've seen about Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson seeing him pulling punches or appeared to be pulling punches and not really trying to fight Jake Paul. And I reminded people that it was an exhibition. And despite how it was billed and what Mike promised to do, I think none of those guys were just trying to hurt each other. You know, I think Jake Paul was actually just trying to, just share the ring with a legend. You know what I mean? To be honest, he made sure he won, sure. But, you know, he didn't try to go out of his way to hurt Mike like he did, like he dropped Anderson Silva or he knocked out Tyron Woodley.
Jake Paul's growing confidence in boxing has caused a lot of doubt among experienced analysts. Critics say it's unrealistic for him to think he can really challenge someone like Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a top heavyweight with years of training, many championship fights, and proven endurance that Paul hasn't faced yet. Some observers note that Paul seems to rely on speed or physical tricks, while Joshua is completely natural, combining size, strength, and skill that are hard to beat. This big difference has made fans and experts question if Paul is truly ready for such a huge challenge. These concerns have sparked bigger debates, especially because of the huge money involved. High-profile fights usually come with complicated contracts and massive payouts, which can influence more than just who gets matched up. Deontay Wilder's comments have drawn attention to how deals behind the scenes might affect outcomes in ways fans rarely see. While no one agrees that results are fixed, the discussion has made analysts and viewers look closer at the business side of the fight. As attention grows, questions about honesty, intent, and fair competition continue to surround this matchup, keeping the conversation alive well beyond the ring.
Answer early. Is Jake Paul natural? No. I can say that with pretty certain confidence in that statement, mainly because, as you heard me mention, I know a lot of the people he trains with and I have heard things. Now let's give Jake the benefit of the doubt, right? He's able to restrain from the peer pressure that everyone's putting on him to hop on these certain compounds. Then that would be cool to train natural, do what he needs to do. But the thing is, his body composition has changed so much, his explosiveness, his power, and yes, that comes with training and time. But I find it very, very suspicious that for some reason, whenever a drug test gets brought up, for instance, when Fury wanted that in the contract, Jake Paul turns them down. So you should think to yourself, it's probably because he's not natural. Now I want to make it clear, I don't care whether Jake Paul is natural or not. There's so many people that aren't natural that are in combat sports. In fact, Tyron Woodley probably is also not natural. Everyone wants that little edge over their competition, and that's where drugs and anabolics come into play. There's certain compounds that are out there that just increase your explosiveness immensely, your recovery, so that you can stay in the same weight class, which is very important for combat sports, whether that's boxing, UFC, whatever type of combat sport you're doing. So that is why you guys have seen so much improvement from Jake Paul. Of course, he has a great circle around him, great trainers, great coaches, a great regimen, but definitely anabolics play a very fundamental role in that. They allow him to train as hard as he does. They allow him to increase his power and speed. And of course, when you think of those concepts, that's essentially the recipe to win in a combat sport.
Joe Rogan has clearly shared his thoughts on Jake Paul's ambitions, and he doesn't believe this fight really favors Paul at all. He explains that even though Anthony Joshua is older, he is still in top physical shape, keeping his speed, power, and confidence in the ring. Paul's style has worked against smaller or less skilled opponents, but Rogan thinks it would be very risky and likely fail against a highly experienced heavyweight like Joshua. He highlights Joshua's championship history, smart ring decisions, and ability to handle pressure as big advantages that make him a tough challenge. Rogan also questions if going after this fight is a smart move for Paul's long-term career. He warns that underestimating someone of Joshua's level could cause serious trouble. Beyond just strength and skill, Rogan points out the mental side of the fight, saying Joshua's champion mindset gives him a clear edge in high-pressure moments. For Jake Paul, stepping into the ring with a top-tier fighter would be an intense and unforgiving test, pushing him to his limits in every way.
Same guy he used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying. Again, a guy who survived Usyk twice. You know, you saw what Usyk did to Dubois? You see Usyk take out Dubois? Did you see that? I mean, that's the Usyk you're talking about. There's an Usyk that rocked Tyson Fury, who's fucking 6'9".
So Jake Paul's 6'1" versus 6'6" Anthony Joshua. Jake weighed in for the Tyson fight at 199.
Yeah.
Joshua against Ngannou was 252.
6'6". Just not just 6'6", but 6'6", and knows how to use every fucking inch of it. Knows how to keep that stick in your face. He was keep that jab in his face, and that right hand, if it hits you, you're fucked. And he's not worried about you the way he's worried about Usyk. You can't move like Usyk. You can't constantly be frustrating and overloading his nervous system. Usyk is overloading every aspect of your senses at every moment. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard, and he's constantly shifting his feet, and you think he's going to be there, and he's over here, and it's like this overload of thinking. It's not a casual, relaxed fight where you can kind of move around and get your groove and he's going to stay on the outside and you're going to... No, it's just constant. He survived that guy twice. He survived, in my opinion, the most skillful heavyweight of all time. Twice. And you're going to go box him? And the toughest guy you fought before was 40 years old Anderson Silva? That was the toughest guy so far you fought? You lost to Tommy Fury, who's a very good boxer, but this is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is fucking
He's the
terrifying.
thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch. And he's fast.
What do you think? Do these details change how you see the fight, or is it just guesswork?